Well, I'm not starting over.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
roll with it.
Yeah. And so, I guess to pick up where I left off, at the time that I made this commitment, I was going through a divorce, and I was, thinking, all right, what am I going to do? I was a stay-at-home mom raising four kids. I had, half an acre home. I had the life that most people would be like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Why would you leave this? And I got some pretty incredible advice. What, how not to leave, and how to put up with it and stick it out. And I said no. There was a calling, and I needed to face my fears and answer the call. So going through a divorce and raising my kids, I had to stick to this. Just be love. Huh? What? You're dealing with attorneys and courts and attorneys who
Mhm.
want to stir the pot, and make it worse so that you have to pay more money, and you just gotta find your footing. A lot of times, the moment my kids would go with their dad, I'd close the door and I'd just start crying. And there's nothing I could do. And then it came to, finding out the truth about the mortgage industry and the whole monies,
Mhm.
the matrix and all that stuff. And I was challenged again. And I could not live in fear. I had to move forward and face those fears, knowing that I had to honor my faith in God and believe that no matter what came my way, that I would be taken care of. So let me tell you, the devil really tested me. Yeah, I went through a lot of stuff. And but you know what? It gets easier. And I was always supported, always supported. So fast forward, um, after years of this just sticking to love with no agenda. I wasn't making it a business. I was just literally challenging God, saying, "You made a promise, and I'm going to follow the order, and let's see what you got." Because the Bible says it, unless you know what love is, you don't know God. And I said I wanted to know God. So whether you believe in God or not, I believed in love, and that's what I did. So now, fast forward, I was inspired to write this book. And I started writing this book in a handwritten in a journal. And if you saw it, it looks like absolute chicken scratch. I don't know how my book came to be with that, but it did. And it finally got published. It took a long time. And my life has been nothing but amazing. And so, my message over all these years, no matter what platform you find me on, it's always trying to educate people to, what is love? What isn't love? And we have to remember that all of us were born into and raised under the veil of deception. And so, under this veil of deception, Satan rules the world. It's the world of money. We're learning how to love under the veil. Who's in charge here? So, with that, you can't assume to know what love is just because we're buying flowers and candy on Valentine's Day. Just because we're learning how, the four agreements, or we're learning just not to make assumptions. And it's a formula for love. And if you apply the formula exactly over and over and over and over again in all your situations, you win. That's it. You win. And Stephen had a question. He says, I'm trying to share the book with people, and he's running into the same problem. He's excited about telling what's in the book, but the moment people ask, well, what is the title? And he says, the game, boom, shut off. You know why? Because we assume that the cover is advocating games in relationships. It's not that at all. There's no games. There's no manipulation. This is as authentic as we can be. And literally, I use the game analogy so that our left brain can logically and reasonably understand, oh, that's where that sticky note goes to. That's where all these things that goes on that side. So all the things you already know are divided so we can conquer love. We can really understand what it is. So there's a lot of things, a lot of memes and advice talking about love, talking about it being a good person, and you read it and you're like, yeah, that's true. Yep, that's right. I don't have anything nice to say. I better not say anything at all. That's true. However, when we're moving from moment to moment with people, it triggers just like that. It comes out of our mouth and you're just like, oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. And then there's instant regret. And what we're doing is we're pushing love away. And what we want to do is attract, because we want to be our authentic self. When we are of love, our spirit, we connect to the field. And the thing that's preventing us from connecting to the field is our physical being. And our physical being gives us free will. We have one choice, and that's to love or not to love. Am I going to operate in this 3D realm, or am I going to go higher and be in the fifth dimension? Am I going to be my authentic self and have the courage to do that over and over again, even when people don't understand what you're doing? You have to let people misunderstand you. You have to let them hurt you. Um, you gotta. It takes so much courage, perseverance, and tenacity to commit to love. But I laid it out for you so that I made it a lot easier. So you're understanding, what does pause mean? When do I do that? Some people say the pause button. I'm not talking about a pause button. We're not talking about a pause button. It's just you're playing chess. You have to think about it like this. No matter what you're doing, no matter who you're talking to, there's only two players. So this eliminates a lot of your stress. So when you feel ganged up on and there's other people, right? You have to remember, who are you talking to right now? That's your player. Everyone else becomes a spectator. And you have to be aware of your spectators, because if they witness you doing something contrary to love, you lost them immediately. And it's game over with them. So this keeps you at a hyper awareness of what you're doing, but you're dealing with one person only. And then when that person says something, that's their move. So it teaches you patience. You have to wait. And in the book, I'm explaining to you, like, you can't bring in your army. If you have an argument or something and you say, yeah, but Aunt Betty said, and remember when, Ben came over and said that, and well, and you're just trying to pile on and make yourself bigger so that you're going to beat down your player. No, that's not love. We don't do that. So the book goes through the board, the players. I explain the spectators. I explain the rules. The rules of the game. There's 52 rules, or 52, 51. I think it's 52 rules that you cannot break. And when you read them, you're like, oh my God, nobody's perfect. But that's the goal. We're trying to get back to our perfection. And it's a challenge, but it's the most glorious, worthwhile challenge you could ever imagine. So I'm telling you, just don't do this. It goes way beyond the four agreements. And I explain each one of them. And the way you recognize your player is when they're responding, they're breaking all these rules. And can't trust you. I'm sorry. Immediately. So you're not investing time. You're not investing money. You're not making allowances. You're not making excuses for your player. Nothing. They're going to show you exactly who they are. And you're going to recognize them immediately. Okay. So the second part is your pieces. Okay, your pieces on the board, you're going to find out that most people don't have any. And if you don't have any and you're operating in this world, you've got to break all the rules because you don't have any pieces. And you're going to recognize that. So now your pieces represent your virtues. The king is your honor and your integrity. And just like in chess, it doesn't move around a lot. Okay, it's stationary, it's strong. I'm going to be right here. And I'm going to let my queen protect me and my other virtues, all my other pieces. So your queen is the most powerful piece on the board, okay? Because she represents your faith. And you've got to have faith in your patience. You have to have faith that you can only make one move, even when they're misunderstanding you, even when they're beating you down with all kinds of facts and assumptions and this and that. And you have to just wait. You're going to listen to them bulldoze their whole agenda to you, and then you make one move only. It takes a lot of self-control and a lot of self-love. So when we talk about self-love is discipline. It's not a bath and flowers and things. It's literally discipline to say, I'm only going to be love. And that's it. and start paying attention. Because if we're going to make the world a better place, if we're going to move on to our new existence, that's going to be ruled by love. This is over. In the Bible, it says, we can't honor both love and money. It's either love or the world of money is everything, all those rules, all those behaviors, all that fear that's prompted, that's going to go away. We're going to start to learn how to be trustworthy and be able to understand that, oh my God, I really do have value. Like I know, and I know that I know because I have a formula and I fulfilled it. Right now, without having that formula, we're kind of guessing and moving and bobbing and thinking, and was that the right thing? And you're overthinking it and you're, losing sleep over it because we don't have a manual. And so I wrote the manual and here we are. All right. That's it. I gave you a lot.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm hoping somebody's got questions. You pretty much answered the first one I had, was when somebody said, well, why does it need to be laid out like a game? Isn't that what we want to stop doing? I said, no, not necessarily, because life is a game and we have to learn how to work with each other. And we don't have a really good rule book. And how many people have ever bothered to even read the Bible or go through and highlight those most important teachings? And I like that you've done that, but in a way that makes it easy to understand. And with that, we do have hands up, so I'll start with Rob.
Okay.
Where'd he go?
Hey, over there. Rob? Robin? Oh, can't hear you. You're on mute.
I suppose my question is, when you think, what is love? To me, it's a sort of a frame of mind, or a sort of an awareness type of thing. And it was interesting, you said you sort of related sort of faith and discipline. Now, you see, to me, maybe it's because I'm a very logical thinker. I can think, right, I can be disciplined. But having faith, now that's tricky. And similarly, with things like the concept of what is love, that's a people think fluffy and pink, but that's not what it is. It's a hard thing to define, I find. So what is it?
That's a great question. That is a great question. Well, okay, so a lot of us think that love is an emotion, right? Because we feel it. And when we feel pain, like for our loved ones, that's love. No, that's our ego getting hit. Our ego hurts. Love doesn't hurt. So love is the absence of pain. Okay. It's the absence of pain. So when we feel pain, maybe we lost a loved one and that hurts, right? No, the ego hurts because the attachment is gone. Love doesn't hurt. Love is a behavior, it's an energy field. Okay. It's all the little subatomic particles that are in the air waiting for us to affect them because we're the creator. So love is an energy field. That energy field manifests depending on what we put out. So without understanding what we're putting out, we're probably putting out pain for ourselves because we're self-sacrificing, or putting pain toward our brother. And when you do that, you push those subatomic particles, the energy field, away. And when you push love away, well, guess what? The world gets in the way and you suffer consequence. So you want to have the full armor of God, meaning all of that surrounding you so that you are supernaturally protected.
You see, that sounds, to me, I feel most calm when I'm not thinking. I mean, I'm just flowing through life. And so I guess that's when, for me personally, that probably means I'm giving help or assistance or love to other people because you're a service to others. But I don't see it like that. I see it as a sort of flow through life, doing what I can to help. Maybe that's the same thing.
It is the same thing if we're flowing, if we're in the flow of love. The challenge is when we're flowing and somebody puts a barrier in your way. Okay. Now all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, and then we get defensive and we want to come out and protect ourselves. And we have to learn how to let love protect us instead of our ego protecting us. Okay. Good.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting.
Good. Thank you.
Great question and a wonderful answer. Julie, you're next.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited about this topic.
We love love.
Well, yeah, my book's sitting over there. I wrote a book, Life of Love. So there's just so much gooiness. And okay, first I had two questions. The first one was Kat's introduction was princess, that you were a princess. And so is this part of how you explain your divinity and your royal, or are you actually a princess? I'm sorry if I missed the beginning.
Both. So it's one of those divine gifts that I did not see coming. And it's one of the titles and the accolades that I have been given in recognition for who I am. And so it's all documented. Yeah. And again, all I did was commit to love. Everything was given to me. And I'm telling you, when God says no eye has seen and no ear has heard and no mind can conceive what God has prepared for those who love him, it means me. I have
Right.
to,
Love is God is in us. And so when we
right,
love ourselves, yes.
right. But that loving ourself literally means we have to understand what isn't the self. What is my ego? What is contrary to love? And I have to use my discipline to start chipping away at all of that to get to who I really am. And that part of it is hard and it's painful. And that's where you're just sitting there going, oh my gosh, how can I do this? How can I really do this? Like, how can I allow people to abuse me, take advantage of me, accuse me of something wrong, misunderstand me, and sit there and take it, And that's where faith comes in. You have to believe in that part of the scripture. And what's beautiful about the scripture is that when, we're visionaries, right? So when we visualize our life and we're getting close to that, if we can see it coming closer, it's not that, because we can see it. No eye has seen. So if it's in my view, it's bigger than that. And so I have experienced things like, I don't know how that happened. I don't know how. The princess, the queen, the accolades, it goes on and on. And I didn't have a business plan. I didn't do anything other than commit. That's it. So thank you for that, Julie.
Yeah. And the second part, I don't want to take all your time, but the second one was like, okay, how do I put this into words? Well, first of all, I honor what you've been through to get to this place, because you took the hurdles and you kept your head up, and it's just like, oh, you're a warrior for love, and I just honor that in you. And the whole idea that we're in this matrix and everything that we see and feel and touch, everything in our 3D is here. And, to have this framework around you that it's a game, this next thing that's coming, you can't predict it, but you're going to have this wave come. And the idea that you have conquered this with grace. And if everyone could see their divinity and their grace, even when you're going through slobbery, painful times, just, surrendering to that love, to that boundless, the idea that we are so extensive that we have no idea how far our energy can go and how far we can take it, that these things that come up, if you can look at, like you said, like a game, you escape the matrix.
Right. You do. You totally.
And that's the way to get beyond it. So I just love it.
Thank you. All right. You did mention the word grace, and I'd like to give some clarity on that, because again, we have to remember what we've learned prior to is under the veil. So we have to be willing to revisit what we think we already know. In the game, grace is a virtue. Okay, you're going to move that piece. But grace is one of the last pieces to come to play that you can actually put on your board and say that I have that. And the reason why is grace is knowing what to say and when to say it. That's how we operate here. What do I say and when do I say it? How many times you've been like, I don't know what to say right now. Like, I just don't know. I don't have an answer to somebody's pain, somebody's loss, or to an accusation that's very, very unfair, and still address it with love. So it's a skill set, and it comes after executing the patience, learning how to acknowledge and accept, learning how to inject a little humor. All these pieces come in, and to stop being sarcastic. Sarcasm is
Mhm.
not love. So thank you for that, Julie. That was great.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited to meet you, and thank you so much for what you're putting in the field. I believe your sister.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
And I've tested my love energy, like with family and stuff, and it's magical. If you can, like anyone who's doubting any of this, if you try it, just sprinkle the love on it, and you'll see these things, these relationships that you thought were just impossible. You can change the timeline of it.
Yep.
And it's magical. So thank you.
Thank you.
Before moving on to Susan, can I interject? You're talking about the frequency that you put out to the world. And when I met you and we started talking, I immediately recognized you for what you were. And I said, that's the Queen of Hearts. And that's before I even knew that you were writing the book. So it's important how we present ourselves in the world. It's not just the external, but it's that whole what you are inside. So thank you for being that beautiful energy in the world.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. Yes. I'm sorry. Just real quick to Julie's point about sprinkling love everywhere. Yes, we do need to do that, but it's really hard to do that before we look in the mirror and we see where we have not loved ourselves.
Mm.
We can't give what we need. So we have to look in the mirror and say, why am I not taking better care of myself? Why am I always putting myself aside and putting others first? Because we were taught that. We were taught to put others first. And it's like, no, you need to put yourself first. That's discipline. And in that, you will love everyone else. Okay. So,
beautiful.
Yeah, it's the whole lead by example, right? It's like when you're the divinity, then you'll attract, and the naysayers, the people who are challenging or coming against you, it's just a chance for you to show up in your light a little more. And those naysayers, well, they'll go their way, but it doesn't matter because you have your king, you have your values, you have your integrity. So just love it.
Beautiful.
I see it.
Yay. Anybody else?
Susan's up next.
Okay.
So one of the things that's really funny is I had a friend that used to say, yep, she keeps talking to the angels and saying, I'm down here again with no manual. And now you're talking about it. So it's like she's back on the other side now. But anyway, that was just when you started saying that.
I think that's great.
Yeah. So regarding rules, I'm assuming one of them would be don't bring up the past. If you're if you're having, or if you're working on a relationship or having a conversation with somebody, that it's important not to bring up the past then.
Okay. And bring up the past in what respect?
Okay. So for example, giving them examples of how you feel that the relationship is or is not working. Here's an example of what I would need. Here's an example of how I can help you. Here's an example of where I felt deceived. You don't bring that kind of stuff up.
Nope.
Because that's not of love. Is that correct?
That's right. So basically, there's in the list of rules, one of them is no assumptions, no expectations. Okay. When we really put that into play, all right, to your point, if I am communicating with you and I'm saying, look, these are my boundaries, this is what I expect from you, you hurt me before, or moving forward in this new relationship, these are the things, my non-negotiables, whatever, all that stuff. You're laying down this foundation with the expectation that you are clear, and the assumption that they are going to honor what you say. And that's why people get hurt all the time,
Mhm.
because we don't do that until we know what love is. Each and every one of us, the chances are the person that you come in contact with is not going to understand that by you thinking that you're being clear, with your expectations for the relationship, that you're going to get what you put out. You won't. You have to identify their character. That's how they're going to treat you. So anything you put out there, it's going to fall on deaf ears.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. So, and then I would assume that's explained more in the book to sort of
Oh,
get into it. Okay.
in
Because
detail.
yeah, because one of the questions that came up to me before Julie's questions were about commitment and wondering, is commitment, so commitment to many things, like I have friends that will say, well, their kids signed up for this baseball team, they committed, even though the coach and it's not working for them, they need to finish off the whole season. So commitment can be looked at in many different ways. I committed to a course a while ago, 6 months. It is making me crazy on some levels. But so a commitment, would you say that's of the old world, or is the concept of commitment as opposed to concept of what's flows through and works for me at the time?
So the commitment that from the old world is self-sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
Because I dabbled in it and I thought I would like it. And it turns out it's driving me crazy. But I made a commitment, so I got to stick it out. Self-sacrifice. We don't do that.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Something else I just wanted to ask about, there's more and more of a feeling right now amongst, amongst a lot of people I know, just wanting to retrieve from the world, become isolated, be in silence as much as possible. Is that part of the process of learning to experience love, or learning to let go a little bit of ego? Or I guess does it depend on how you're viewing it?
No, I think you're on target. I think what's happening right now is, prior to 2020, we were all kind of living in our own world of, this is just how it is, and we're going to make our life as good as we can, but there's no immediate threat. It's just life. It's just life. So good things happen, bad things happen, you kind of roll with it, this and that. But the noise in the last 4 years has become so big, right? So big, so ugly, so twisted and hurtful. And we're waking up to the idea and understanding that they're trying to literally program our mind to accept these things that are not right. And so what are they doing? They're pushing love away.
Mm.
And we are love. So all of us who are like, I got to stay in my house, I'm not going out, I'm not dealing with anybody or anything, I'm turning that off. It's because our soul, we are love, and they're pushing us
Right.
away.
Okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
that's okay, because when they push us away, see, the devil thinks he's got it, got it going on, and it's contrary, because we're finding who we are again. It's like, I don't, okay, fine. You want me to be divided and 6 feet apart and masked up so I don't say anything? And you don't want me, okay, fine. I'm just going to be in my house. But then what? You get to think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to think, what is going on?
Ye- And the thinking sort of where I'm at right now is the things I thought I was going to be pursuing and doing, they're like diffusing. Like it's like being in trying to grasp steam. Like it's just
Like,
need
what's the
to
point?
be for a while. Yeah. Yeah.
So the commitment we want to make moving over is the commitment to ourselves,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
commitment to our virtues. We have to stop self-sacrificing, in under the umbrella of just be kind. Okay. if self-sacrifice is under that umbrella, no, it's not about kindness. It's about boundary. Okay, so we're going to take all these concepts and we're going to lay them out so that they make sense. And now we have direction.
Okay. Just something else I'm curious about during your process. So when you made the commitment to stand in love or be with love, over the years, then did you receive downloads of information, or would you, like, was it a process where the longer you were in it, the more was being revealed, or were you getting information from other books or sources, or did it come through you?
Okay, great question. In the beginning, going through my divorce, all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, now I'm just me. You know, I'm free to be me. I'm not just wearing a hat says mom or housewife or, you know, whatever else I did. I get to just like start over. And so I felt that I was worth being educated. And so I read a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. And I would have like 5 books at a time. I'd have a book in the car. I just couldn't get enough of just investing in me. Okay, just loving me. And then I became really connected with nature.
Yeah.
Nature is, you know, God is in the garden, right? Nature provides all the answers. So when people talk about a download, right, I don't really see it that way. What it is that, like, you know, when you go into meditation and you're getting, you may not get clarity in the moment, but when you come out of meditation, all of a sudden something seems more clear to you. You know, you get direction, or what happened was we broke through. Our light on the inside broke through the thickness of the physical. And so when we break through and we connect with the ether, with this energy field, things become more clear. We become one with love. So when you go out in nature, everything is talking, everything is communicating. We're just not on that vibration. But it's all that wisdom is out there for us. And what do? They separate us. They put us in tall buildings, in small cubicles, focused on something. It's like, you know, get away from God, get away from God. Don't go out there. And if we go out and ground, and we know that ground, go be with the trees, lean against a tree, breathe in, put your feet in the sand, whatever it is you have, just go out there. And you'll start picking up on all of this energy that comes to us. It's like all the answers are there. And that's where I spend a lot of my time. It's just out in nature and appreciating the spiritual world, because everything is living. Everything is living. You know, so you don't just like go through your day thinking, so what, it's a tree, so what, it's a bird, so what, it's a, no, these things are communicating and they're loving and they resonate with that vibration of love. So we just have to match it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Thank you. That's the educational model right there too, right? Like in terms of kids or whoever wants to be educated, it's
Yes.
down to a simple piece. Anyway, I'm looking very forward to reading your book.
Oh,
So
good, good, good. Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
Great questions and comments. But you know, it's what you said about going into meditation. I believe in that so much, because I've gotten answers from nature in the quiet moments of sitting with it, and it's beautiful. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. So we were living our life being distracted by the TV and the newspapers and all the stuff.
Right.
So I love that you've clarified that for everybody.
Thank you. And you know, what is so beautiful is that, you know, in this other world, we're trying to find our soulmate, right? Who, where, and people are complaining everywhere that there's nobody out there. There's nobody worth committing your life to. And in this process of committing to love, you fall in love with you. Everything about you. You are your soulmate. And as you fall in love with you, that energy field starts to shine right out of your pores, and you're attracting everything. And then you find out, God, I'm in love with a lot of people. You know, and it's easy to fall in love with people. And you're not really looking for maybe the one because, I am the one.
Perfect.
Mm.
We are. So I'm gonna. Jane's had her hand up for a while. Ms. Hoffman.
Hi, thank you, Merrilee. This is really a beautiful experience. When you're standing in your love and you have a close family member who's pushing you away
Mhm.
and you want to respect that, can you give any ideas of how long you let that
Mhm.
go on
Uh,
without pushing?
okay, so the more open you are with the situation, the more I can relieve the pain. If we're going to speak in generalities, then I can give you a general answer. In that situation where we have family members that have no self-respect, they have no boundaries, they don't understand that they're not being loving at this moment and they're causing pain. Okay, there's a lack of self-awareness there. We are to remember that we're not to self-sacrifice. Okay, self-sacrifice in that moment means two things. One is that I'm not going to sit here and take the abuse. I'm not going to put up with it. Okay, meaning that I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to honor whatever it is you have to say. And you almost have to feel like there's a force field around you, and allow your player to do and say whatever it is that they're going to say. And you just don't respond. It doesn't require a response because their anger and their pain is just being shot at you like arrows. It's just gone constantly. So you just let them deflect. Okay. When they're finally done talking, then you just say, okay, that's enough. And that's when you're going to go. I'm going to let you cool off. I'm going to go. Okay. We don't have to match their energy. We don't have to match their anger when they are accusing us of things we know that are not true. Don't be tempted to say, wait a minute, and then correct the record and do all this stuff. They're speaking of pain, and they want, in that moment, it feels like I'm supposed to remedy it. I'm supposed to fix it. I'm supposed to give you clarity or something. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You just have to stop being the one who's causing the pain. And if you don't have a move, you can't say anything. All right. So that's what being love is, and that's what loving your brother is in that moment. I won't hurt you. Does that answer it?
Yeah, thank you. That's really great.
Okay, good, good. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I've got my hand up for you
Oh.
because this is where having read the book really helped. Got into a little tiff last night with the husband over, I have no idea what it was. It seems so trivial, but he made a point to start going, well, you do this, this, and this, and this. When they fill up that wheelbarrow and they dump it on you. And I let him, patience, let him get it off his chest and then say, okay, I appreciate that you have these things that upset you and I'll work on it. However, can you not dump it all at once? Can we work on it as each thing comes up so that it's not used? It's like you're being buried, right, in bricks of those heavy things from the past. It's like bringing in your entourage to join you to help you. It's sort of like bullying in a way. Is that what you would consider that?
Okay, so you're probably not gonna like my answer.
Go ahead.
All right. So remember, this is your player. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's your spouse or your child, family members, work, it doesn't matter. It's just a person. It's your player on the other side. When you recognize that they're dumping, okay, they're dumping, and they're uh, basically breaking every rule because you've read the game, you've read all these rules, and you're recognizing it. That's not important. What you're doing is trying to rationalize with them to say, look, I understand all this stuff in the name of a peaceful home, trying to be a better person and all that stuff. But really, what's most important in that moment is understanding that you are self sacrificing. Okay. Because you are expecting your husband to understand that you're trying to get along, you're trying to be patient, you're trying to find a remedy for his dumping. He's not seeing it.
You're probably right.
Your player will never see it. And so what's important for us at that moment is to understand who is in front of us breaking all these rules. Doesn't matter what I say, it's not going to change them. They have to be motivated to want to have a better life, to want to have a better marriage, to fix the pain instead of bashing you, feeling entitled to bash you because you made a commitment to love. This is where we're destroying all of our relationships, because we don't understand when self-sacrifice comes in, when we're entitled to treat somebody like crap, and when we expect, well, you married me, so you know what you got, and you got to forgive me. Yeah. And forgiveness is so misunderstood. So
Yeah, I hope you'll get some more questions so you can talk specifically on that, because we've had multiple conversations. But I'm going to move on to Kristen. Hi, Kristen.
Hey, Kat. And thanks for this. This is a great presentation. Mary Lee, I'm gonna buy your I'm gonna buy your book after this little session is over. I'm just sitting here because I'm dealing with quite a bunch of stuff, a lot of changes in my life. I was laid off from a job and I don't know if I want to go back full time. And I'm thinking of something happened yesterday. I have a tendency to self-sacrifice. I was brought up, a German Catholic family and brought up to self-sacrifice, but I tend to do it anyway. And I'm also an INFJ. I don't know Myers-Briggs, and Myers-Briggs are big on self-sacrifice. So until you get to that point where you have to do the door slam, the INFJ door slam. So I'm, as you're talking, I really wasn't going to say anything, but it's just two things. One is I'm in a place right now where you're talking about educate, and I have 5 books. A lot of them are Dolores Cannon and Greg Braden and some others. But it's like all these things are coming in, like the universe is saying, okay, we're going to send you all this stuff. And I feel like you in this book is one of those parts. I do want to say, I've been a counselor, a therapist. I'm still a licensed professional counselor. I'm not sure what I'm going to do at this point, but one of the things that we always talked about to the clients or the patients, whether it was inpatient or outpatient, I would call it the E word, expectation. So when you're talking about expectations, it's like, oh yeah, the E word. Which is you're expecting somebody else to do this or do that. So that really has made an impression on me, what you're saying today. And I love the kind of game theory. So I really want to look at this. One thing I wanted to, when you're talking about commitment to yourself, these are just 2 brief snippets, and you don't have to speak into them, what I'm saying. I'm just sharing. I wanted to take this Spanish class because, we have to work with, in previous jobs, I've had to work with Spanish speaking people, a lot of migrants, et cetera. And there are people in the Southwest who speak Spanish. And so I started taking one at the senior center because I'm a woman of a certain age. And I went to the class, and there were a lot of older people, and I understand this. I'm a therapist, so you never turn it off. You're always assessing the situation. You're always kind of listening to people and kind of figuring out, their personality or where they're coming from. There were a lot of people in that class that were very attention seeking. And I understand this. You're a senior, maybe you're not working. And I was really turned off by the class. I've been trying to beat myself to, go back. But I think I'm not. I think what you said today is make a commitment to yourself. And you know, if the energy that's in the room is not really conducive for you to learn, then you find another way to learn it. The other thing I wanted to just throw out there is I'm volunteering for emergency response team in my little town here in North Central Texas. And I'm excited, and it's all this energy. I want to make sure, I mean, I do really well in crises, if that makes any sense. So, and I used to have a coworker, we would talk about this. We do really well. Everybody else is falling apart, and we would just be like really calm. So I volunteered, and they're all excited because they don't have a crisis counselor. But I want to make sure, you know, you're saying a lot of stuff today that I'm not. I want to be careful. I want to watch my boundaries. You know, I like all of this stuff you're saying, but it's just like, you know, when you can go in a situation and you can really help people instead of the people saying, they don't really want mental health. They just want to talk to you about their breakup with their girlfriend or boyfriend, and they're really not looking for help. I feel like this situation, I could really do some good. But again, I want to read your book and make sure, hey, wait a minute, where are you coming from?
So I know we're running out of time, so let me just make 2 comments. One of them is to the attention seeker. When we see an attention seeker, we have to understand that they need love. That's what they're looking for. Okay, so for our side of the board, we have to understand, do we have our compassion on the board? That's the piece we either have or we're missing. So if we get triggered by it, it's like you have to think about it for a moment. It's like, why are they wanting so much attention? It's because they never had it. They really need our love. Okay. Goodness. And the other part, goodness, I forgot what you were saying about the commitment to yourself. Oh gosh, I forgot you made another point. What was the second point you were saying? Oh, the crisis. Okay. When you were talking about being really good in crisis, that's personality. So you're going to understand that more when I talk about the 5 gates. Okay, there's 5 gates to recognizing your player. And I break these gates down, and most people only get through 1 and 2. That's it. And so we're cycling through 1 and 2, 1 and 2 over and over again. And we're getting hurt and getting disappointed, and another breakup, another lost job, another lost interview, another lost opportunity, whatever it is, because we're only going through 1 and 2. So I'm teaching you how to get through all 5 gates when you're in play, and you're going to learn a lot about yourself, because you can ask yourself, why am I good in crisis? Okay. So it'll answer that. And thank you for that. Anybody else?
Ken has been waiting patiently.
Oh, Ken.
Go ahead, Ken.
In my basic observation, and I know everybody's got their own concept of love. All right. You got what, 8.7 billion people on Earth. You're going to have 8.7 billion different, perceptions of what they identify or feel or everything else. I think as spirit beings that we are, I think we have there's an obligation to understand that if you really learn how to love every cell, molecule, and atom in your universe, that is where you come into a total different control. And what level of functioning do we have to be on in order to grasp that, right? So there's going to be a thought process. It all goes down to knowing thyself, right? And that's exactly what you're covering in your book. And I apologize, I didn't get a chance to read it, but
Sorry.
I'll take a look. But that's really what circumstances do not matter. State of being matters. You give away your power when somebody's going to throw rocks or the tacks underneath your bare feet, right? That's that. You're going to get, you gotta, you know what? I'll get ticked off about that tomorrow. Today, I'm having a great day. Nothing's going to get in my way of doing that. when you leave the house with that kind of a vibe, you know, everybody you're going to encounter, family members, loved ones, you wake up the day doing that, and you're sending out a different vibe, and
Right.
that's coming back in a different energy, and you never end up getting yourself in that situation where somebody's taking that wheelbarrow and dumping it, right? And it just doesn't happen. And you'll see it when it's state of being, I'm telling you, is when you push that out, you're going to see events curtail exactly as you need it. It'll just come together for you. And that is, I think, exactly what you experienced. And what you're writing about in the book is all that, because everybody's going to have a different concept of what love is. Is it in relationships? Is it with family? Is it with, you know, your dogs and cats? And it's just a different level.
So Ken,
It's-
how long have you committed to love?
Probably, well, forever, ever since I was born. I mean, that was, you all are. We all are, because that's what we are. That is what we are. And it's just a matter of, life is meant to be joyous.
Yeah.
That is where I come from. Life is supposed to be joyous. And you get into these little, you know, arguments with loved ones or family members, and no, just, you know, let them blow steam. There's going to be days you gotta let them blow steam. You have to be the one that says, you know what, I'm in control of I got my control here. I'm not going to let my buttons get pushed. You know, it's as simple as that. Somebody's pressing buttons. Hey, who's in control? That's when you got to make that decision. And that's, you know, and then keep going forward with, it's another great, glorious day.
Right. Right.
So
What have you experienced in this commitment?
event curtailing exactly as I need it, you know, whether it's in business, family, whatever. It's, you know, and your growth, you know, and learning and experiencing a knowledge that I guess permeates into a wisdom.
Good.
And I hope I can reflect that.
Good. Good. So what do you think the ultimate goal is then to love? How do you know?
I've always seen I know we are in, you know, I mean, somebody was on Earth that walked on water, could, you know, control weather and do a lot more, make people see, make the lame walk. I want to know how to heal. I want to know how you control molecular structure, right? And that's where Braden and Lipton come in, and they're, you know, everybody here, quick, think of cutting a lemon in half and squeezing it down your mouth, you know, and if you really visualize that, how many people are secreting saliva glands, right? Not a lemon in sight. And so that's a total physiological change to your body makeup in a flash, in an instant, with the thought. Well,
So
there's no limit. You're the only one that puts the limits there. There's no limit.
so Stephen had a really good question for me. He left that on there and he said, how do you know? How do you know when you're ascending? How do you know?
You will know. Well, we all are. I'll tell you that. Number one, you could just make it under an assumption, just because you're here on planet Earth now.
So the
That's what you're here to do, and help others do it too. That's what we're all about right now. I mean, you had to, I think every one of us had to pass a certain muster in order to get into this planet during this period of time. And this is don't cut yourself short. You're so much, and remember, I mean, in Cece, I told you this a long time ago. All that is cannot possibly be all that is without you. You are so needed by it, so demanded by it. All that is cannot possibly be all that is without every single one in existence. and every single one that's ever been in existence, and every single one that ever will be in existence. You are so important. Nobody's more important than anybody else. We're all on this bus together. We are all one. And that's the important, you get yourself grounded in that, and love will come naturally. That is, it's state of being. That's where you want to really focus. My experience.
So thank you, Ken. So I left an answer for Stephen on the website, according to Ascension, and my simple answer to that is happiness. How happy are you, really? How happy? Are you smiling? When you go to bed, are you laying there just going, thank you, Father. Thank you for my life. And you're just saturated in gratitude. You're just so happy. Sometimes I'm laying there just with a smile on my face and I can't go to sleep because I'm too happy and I can't stop being happy to fall asleep. So that is an easy way to determine where you're vibrating, because if you are worrying and if you're riddled with guilt, you feel bad about something that you said to someone and you're like, God, I wish I could replay that. And your vibration is going down and down and down. Your face is showing it. Your whole vibration is coming down. So the way to know that you're ascending is when you get the book and you're putting this into play, right? And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I know the answer to that. And so you move that piece in real time and you see it work immediately. You're like, that actually worked. All of a sudden you're like, I'm so excited. Did anybody see that? It worked. And you're so excited. And so now you're up here again and I'm happy and you're vibrating. And then everything around you, all these little dust particles are going, she's happy. She's happy. And things come my way. And that right there alone is reason enough to be happy, to do this thing called love.
State of being. Exactly. How do you keep yourself centered? How do you get back there? How do you bring it on at a snap of your fingers when
you gotta know how.
Yes.
You gotta know the how. People have a lot of advice, a lot of quotes, a lot of sticky notes, but unless you know how and when to apply them, we're lost and we're not doing it right. And so it turns into arrogance.
Hey, thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
And Merrilee, if you're good with going to the half hour, I don't want to, if you had any other commitments.
It's fine. I mean,
you good for another 20?
Sure.
Okay, because we got a couple more hands up. John, I didn't see you sneak into the room, and I'm so happy to have you with us. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, John.
Hi, Merrilee. Hi, everybody. It's very nice to be here. Very pleasant. I was just thinking about Ascension because my view of Ascension is from a different angle. Because many years ago, I started checking people's resonance just because of some people I couldn't reach because they had an emotional blockage or something. So I needed to know what their resonance was. And what I discovered last year, where are we now? 2024. In 2022, in September, everybody began to rise. Not everybody, we're talking about close to 90% of the population of the planet. So, and each one of those is on a different level. We're not all different. You and I, Merrilee, are exactly the same, by the way. I'll tell you what it is later. You won't believe me anyway.
Okay.
But everybody's at a different level. The level depends entirely on emotional blockages. Emotional blockages and conditioning. Conditioning holds. My dog won't be quiet. Sorry.
Here's the question.
Yeah, she has a question. What's your question, Fleur? So basically, we're all at different levels. Some people have only made it into the millions. Our starting point was before all of this happened. The starting point was most people were somewhere between 400 and 1,000 on the scale, basically. Practitioners were always higher. I was probably whether they were on 1,000, I was probably on 10,000 or something. But you know, we're all on different levels to begin with. That was the first thing. The second thing is people that have been practitioners or gurus or whatever they are, somebody different, they've done the work already. So they didn't have to go through those barriers, because the people that didn't do the work have been through some traumatic times going through their emotional problems. And they've also got to deal with other people's emotional problems that they didn't see before, but now it's very obvious to them. So that gets to be a problem as well. And then you get relationship problems and all sorts of things going on. It's all because we're all rising at different rates. And it's all because of our perception, really. Not for any other reason, it's just our perception. And our negative emotions, basically, because most emotions are negative. When we're talking about love and joy and peace and gratitude and all of those things, they're all positive things. Even sadness is positive in position of opposite to being joyous. It's a perfectly normal place to be. But anxiety and all of those things and desire and all those things that get attached to love are worthless. They're nothing to do with love. You and I know that because we know what love is. So, but teaching people that is a very difficult thing to do. So what I try and do is try and get them to look at things from a different angle. If you can get them to look at something from a different angle, a different perspective, then they can start to ask themselves questions and then start to undo their own knotted emotional mess.
And that is,
But basically, that's the only difference between all of us. But you and I resonate. Did you know that? We're at, I'm just trying to remember, 62 quadrillion. It's a number that I can't even think about.
okay.
Because a lot of people are up there.
All right.
At the moment, we've probably got about 60% of the people in the world in the quadrillions, which is massive. It's enormous. It's a level of resonance I can't even contemplate, really. And I've been doing this for years.
Yeah. Okay. So to that, thank you for that. It seems like there's a common understanding that everybody has their own idea of what love is. Okay, we have our own perception, our own way of doing it, and this is our problem. Okay, because all of us have an opinion, but no one that I know of that I've ever met is actually committed to it as a study and committed their own behavior, and not like putting it under a microscope just to look at it and then you walk away and now you're something else. Okay, to study. And by having a manual that we can all look at and agree, and we will agree, I'm very confident in that. We will agree. When you open that book, you're going to know truth, you're going to recognize truth, and you're going to be okay. Now I'm challenged. I'm challenged to love, to really know what love is. And so the more people that get on board with this understanding, one understanding of love, now we know how to come into the room and be with each other. And hey, we know how to do it. I'm not going to hurt you. And I know what it means to hurt you. I know what behaviors are going to hurt you. I know what words in what order and what I'm doing is doing to hurt you in this moment. Without that self-awareness, we are constantly hurting people and we're ignorant to it. So it's very important that we have a manual that we can all refer to and go, oh, I'm identifying what's going on here. Yeah. And you're going to recognize truth. You can't deny it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You just can't. You can't deny it. You just have to submit and go, all right, that's love. And I see that you're not doing it. Now it's up to me. How am I going to respond to the lack of love right here? I got to keep myself in line. It's all about self-love. Self-love. I made a commitment. And now I know what it is. Without knowing what it is, it's just an opinion.
Yeah, it's nice to know what it is, though, isn't it?
You remember my definition of love, John?
No, I wasn't with you earlier on. I'm sorry, I was late. I snuck in.
Okay. What is your definition of love? Do you have one?
Me,
Yes.
love is.
Mm.
It just is. I
Yeah.
don't have a definition. It doesn't need one, I don't think.
Mhm. It doesn't
You
need
just
one?
need to be able to feel it.
Mhm. Definitely. Well, we can feel it emotionally. We can feel it. Our ego feels it, right? Love. It's a beautiful thing.
I try and keep my ego out of it.
And love is because it is the energy field that's around us all the time. So it just is, and we are that. We are one with that. But because we were born into the physical and we are logical with a brain, a mind, and free will to either be our authentic, loving self or act in fear from this world that we're immersed in. So, to define what love is, a billion people can sit there and say, well, but I think it's, and I think this, and da, da, da. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger because love is, right? It's too big to be defined. And because it's too big to be defined, we can't come together on it. And this is why we continue to hurt each other. So the idea is not to allow people to have their own opinion about it and everybody just and go with that. No, because now we're living in pain and we've submitted to it. We need to chop away all of that and bring it down to this. This is love. And it is the absence of pain. We really have to identify what hurts and what doesn't hurt.
Mhm.
And if it does hurt, why? Why did we get offended? It could be our own insecurity, our own lack of self worth, our own identity. And this is where we need to love ourselves first. So we are the cause of our own pain,
Always.
right? So we can come together and understand that love is the absence of pain. It just is. It's just here, waiting. And what I do, what I say affects this. And it's a vibration that's going to hit you. And it's either going to attract you to me and say, I love you, or it's going to push you away and go, ooh, that hurts. I don't trust it. And so to become trustworthy, we have to know what we're doing. And it happens in an instant. In an instant, you either push it away or you attract it immediately. And the moment you push love away, the person in front of you no longer trusts you. So, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're trying to date them or you're trying to sell to them, whatever your relationship is, you lost it. They don't trust you. And so now it's going to take a really long time to build that trust again. And it doesn't happen. And the reason why it doesn't happen is because we make allowances. It's like, well, they're trying. They're trying to be nice. They're trying to make up for it. And okay, well, we don't know what to look for. We don't know when to draw the line and say, no, I understand right now that I don't trust you. And that's enough. I'm not going to invest any more of me, my resources, or anything that I love to you because I know that you are going to destroy it. Imagine, who am I right now? Am I really trustworthy? If you give me your box of goods of everything that you hold dear and you say, Merrilee, hold this, am I going to care for it? Or am I just going to be like, you don't need that. You don't need that. And oh, I don't know. I just put it down somewhere. Whatever. But you love me, right? No, we have to stop doing that. We have to understand what it means to hold that box for others and go, you can trust me. I'm not going to hurt you. And know that we know ourselves well enough to say that without making false promises. We say I love you to a great many people in our life, but how many of us have been hurt, disappointed, lied to, betrayed, right? when your partner failed you and they said, I love you, but they hurt you, they didn't understand what love is.
I've had plenty of experience of that.
Right. So this is where forgiveness comes in.
Yeah.
It's not forgiveness of my partner. It's not forgiveness of my boss or my coworker. It's I have to forgive myself because I didn't recognize my player. And I continued to make allowances. I didn't draw a boundary. I didn't love myself first. I went ahead and I said, I'm a good person. And so I'm going to tolerate who you are. I'm going to tolerate all the ways that you hurt me. And I'm going to put you first. And that's literally saying, God, get in the back seat. I got this. And we got to stop doing that.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone being here today and listening to what I have to say. And, I'm really, really wanting to stop the pain. Thank you.
There doesn't need to be any.
There doesn't need to be any.
No.
If we all took responsibility for ourselves, stop causing pain, we would be free to love each other and trust each other and let go. Put down our armor.
Yeah. Thanks,
there-
John. Yeah, there's we've got time for one more. Tim, go ahead.
Good heavens, I don't know. It's an honor and a privilege really to review all of this information. I don't really know where to begin, really. I've got a whole lot of information to say and share. It seems that we play the carbon paper template in our lives, and we all are here to actually share experiences with each other because we do reflect on everything we do about ourselves, our confidence, our foundations, what we have learned, what we have gained to learn, and what we are yet still to learn. Marley, you touched on a very important item there about the ocean of love and the ocean of reference. Is, in a sense, we all strive to actually attain the same thing, but yet are we aware of what we're aiming for to try to grasp and hold on to? If we can all learn to understand the basics of what we need, these things reflect upon ourselves and actually enforce us greater, that when we actually meet other people, giving love is really giving all our own, our everything in our center, our core of what we have actually learned to become. And these things actually shine out in how we actually first provide an impression of who we are and what we stand for. In a lot of cases, it's hard to represent and not be victimized. And I would say in my own, I'm guilty of every cast that somebody might throw a stone at. But yet, nonetheless, I first thing when I wake up and wash my face, I look in the mirror and I say, "Good morning. I love you. I'm happy to be me because it's me that is walking the steps every day that I'm sharing with everybody that I deal with." But who is, in one sense, the goalkeeper? Who is the one that actually presents you the award or reward of feelings of emotion and response at the end of the day? But it's me, myself, and I. So these things are maybe anagrams or notes from the notepad that we carry and learn from. But yet, do we actually have the confidence to represent such? Everything's a trial and error, but yet as long as we can learn the errors to prevent those. I had a hard time as a youngster being belittled by my father all the time. And I had to actually disconnect from it and regain my own reference and learn from others that are sharing important things I needed to learn. So those I've actually added to my reference of foundation. And we never stop learning. While you're alive, you're always learning something. And if these things that we can share and accept with the things that are loving from other people into ourselves, then we just gain more. And a lot of times, one thing that I learned is important was I can't help the way I feel, but I sure can help the way I think and act. And these things can step in front of us. And we try to present something that maybe somebody else in their own timing may not accept what you're trying to give forth. So in one sense, a better thing for love is really to just let it go. Don't follow the template. Don't follow the noise of what other people are trying to tell you what to do. What color is your umbrella? What color a prism? What color of technicolor coating are you wearing and shielding yourself? But the only shield is yourself. It's what your love gives out. And these are the confidences that I believe is something that we all need to understand in the ocean of the, I guess, really what we all want to enter and be partners in. And this love embraces us in all and everything we do. And when we can achieve that together and understanding what the bases are, the 5 gates or whatever. I've not read your book and I really do want to read it. Everything has purpose. We all have purpose. And these are the things that we need to understand. It's not what other people think. It's what we think of ourselves and what we are achieving to do within ourselves. At the end of the day, can you actually say to yourself, I'm happy I enjoyed this day to experience? Another thing that I've really tried to reference in a lot of things, I've had friends steal from me. I try to forgive them and say, Father, forgive them, for they know what they are doing because they did it. But yet I give it out to the universe and say, the universe is my friend, my support. They know, the universe knows all things that are happening. So why try to defend it or even affect it when you have no ability to? Things just happen. Stuff happens. Let it go. You know, I'm me, and I can only protect myself for the love that I am and what I give out. These are the things I believe that are important. And if I come across a certain instance or circumstance, very many times I actually, in my own mind, I take a deep breath and I'll think, what would Jesus say if he were here to view this situation between me and someone else or many others? This is the thing that actually sometimes is the pinball that we bounce against and we share, or we actually victimize ourselves for taking the knock on the side of the head and thinking, why did I actually respond that way? Sometimes it's better, as points here have been shared. Sometimes it's better not to say anything. You know, why are we going to jump in a coat of something that we're trying to reference and express when it's just me? I'm naked. I give out what I am and who I am, and that's all I can do. So from what I've had the ability to strengthen my spirit, strengthen my love of myself, how can I reflect that? The first thing I do is try to smile. Smile is so powerful. And when we smile at each other, we're really smiling back at ourselves. So these are the things that I try to step by in everything I do. And I believe that love is in so many factors, an eggshell that we either break or we strengthen and enforce. This is what I would like to say, and I probably got a lot more, but I think that a few of these things can echo in our minds, and it's acceptance. Accept what I am, what I cannot be, what I should be, and what I'm going to become. These are the things to strive for. And at the end of each day, step back and analyze what I've done, what I've said, who I've said it to, and am I able to learn from it? These, I think, are important. You know, we reflect so much on what other people say. Sometimes we always, and I'm victim for this too, I present a lot of this, that some ways and sometimes some words can help other people think differently by the words you say, but they are very powerful and they do have impact. And love comes first. If you present love first always and try to step away from the me or the shadow or the color coat I'm wearing today, that is so hard to do. But yet, when you actually do present that love, you can't stop the bubbles. The bubbles just blow you away. And the sparkle of joy sometimes just vibrates so deeply within you. You feel like $1,000,000, and it's incredible. It really is incredible. But you are what you are, and this is what carries you through everything that you do. A question I've had a full death experience, and I learned a lot. I got the baseball hit in the side of the head. I learned a lot, and I had to step out and look at myself with a magnifying glass. And I still do that every day if I can. There are trials and tribulations. These are part of the principles. Who's the referee that's going to say I succeeded or didn't? Myself. But the love that echoes back is really what provides me the vibration of that joy and that energy. You can't stop it. You cannot stop it. It's when you feel like you're in that cloud, the cloud can be so endless depending on how far you actually take it. But love will echo back, and it does nothing but embrace you more and more. And that eggshell of love just grows. I'll end with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have a definition of love?
Myself? Love is everything. When you present love first, everything just magically carries you through the day. And when you have a trial, tribulation, and it's hard because some people wear multicolor coats when they present themselves to you. It's trying to find the one good thing about them that is the most important, not all the faults, not all the carbon copy figures that they carry, not the impressions that they've carried. It's the one thing that they have within them that is striving from with yourself that can be most important. And that's only a small touch of what love is. The ocean of love is endless, really. When you step into it, it becomes very velvety and very comforting, as well as supporting these things. And it is hard. I've gone through, now I made a choice as a young child as to be single because I felt that there was not that partner or that, I'm going to say carbon copy. I'll use that. I'm sorry, but it's hard to find somebody that has the ability to accept or reflect similar things so that you can bounce upon each other and grow even stronger. These are the things that we have to try to see within each other, that mirror. And what is that mirror? Is it casting just a mirror of myself within that other person? Or am I seeing a kaleidoscope of other things that are causing noise within me to see not the right thing that I should be seeing? I believe these are very important things that we really have to kind of govern ourselves in that factor that we can learn something from it, we can gain something from it, and we can also reflect on others so that they too can learn. This is more important. The embracement of love is really not myself. I do think of myself first always. Am I being selfish? Not necessarily. It depends on how you think about love within yourself. It's that which I believe carries forward to others that you deal with every day.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it.
Love you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, so for those of you who are interested in reading the book, I really appreciate that. What you are going to learn in here when you're learning about the game is the nuance of how we communicate. People fail to communicate, they talk. Okay, so we're like this, and the message isn't being received. And in order to learn how to communicate, it's a one move back and forth. All right. When and I'm can or Tim, I'm going to use you as an example here. When I ask a question, I'm hoping to get a clear answer and not a move, a move, a move, a move, where I'm trying to follow you all over the board. It's there's my turn in there. Okay. And that's where respect comes in. That's where patience comes in. That's where acknowledge and accept come in. And this is where you see the people don't have these virtues. Okay. So you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to learn a lot about people and how we communicate. Okay. Contrary to love. If we don't have a clear definition, a clear and simple definition for all of us to understand and strive for, then everybody's going to be going rogue, and we will continue to be the cause of our own pain and the pain to our brother. I'm hoping that we aim to be love.
Thanks, Merrilee. It's such an important concept, especially in these meetings, so everybody has a chance to comment or question, which was really what this was about today, was to bring questions to you. And I'm sure there are more that were created in listening to you. Personally, I'd like to hear you talk about the 5 gateways next time. And this was, maybe you didn't know, because we've been contemplating back and forth what to do. I would like very much to have Merrilee come back to continue this as a group conversation with questions from you directed toward her, so that we can continue to understand how these rules work and how to apply them in our lives. So next week we have a guest speaker coming in. The week after is the 29th, I believe it is. And are you available? Would you like to continue this maybe a few more times? Because this is the time. Everybody needs to learn how to do better in a world that is so corrupt and so upside down. So I'm very happy to have you come with us, be with us today.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share my message and hopefully give some clarity and inspire you to really want to know what love is.
Yeah. Lots of gratitude for everything you did. I see other hands are up, but you know, guys, I'm sorry, we're out of time. So please come back on the 29th. I will send out notifications so you have the time and the link and all that again. Thank you with much appreciation and gratitude and massive love.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.